Do you have an outdoor Nest battery-powered camera that no longer accepts a charge and is a non-functional camera? We will show you today how to replace the battery on Let's Talk Tech Today. Hi everyone, Mike here. I was able to track down the exact part number that you need to replace the battery inside of a Nest battery-powered outdoor or indoor camera that can be used in both locations. So what I'm going to do today is just using some of my tools from repairing phones in the past. I was able to find the exact part number doing a lot of extensive internet searching, and on AliExpress I was able to get a hold of this battery that I will include links to purchase that from. But I just wanted to show how simple that this should be to replace. I've not opened this up yet, so this is a learning process for everybody at once. But it appears as though the front shield here should pry out. So I am going to try my best here. It appears here all you have to do is get a removal tool and get underneath this part, in this black part here, there is a slight seal, it appears in here, that I may have to reattach using some silicone adhesive to waterproof this again. But just slowly walking this off, appears that's all you need to do to get into this. You just want to go slow at it so you don't crack anything. Make sure that it's reusable for you after the repair. And just see what I can determine underneath here. Yep, this is strictly just a giant sticker on the front. So there's the first part removed, and it looks like there is a photo cell of some sort that is on the bottom here, so you do want to be careful of that. And now let's try to remove this other component on the top, if it's the same way. Nope, the top is a rigid piece, so let's take a look here and see what might need to be done here. I can't feel any sort of notches in here, and I don't want to overly pry because of the recess here and crack the frame of this camera. So once I can figure out exactly where this needs to be pried at, then I will give the information to everybody. I decided to turn the camera off because it was getting a little too difficult to remove this, but after seeing how this comes apart, now I can better describe it to everybody what would need to be done if you choose to remove this. Obviously at your own risk. There are little intricate, there's a ribbon cable here that goes to the front component that holds the camera lens, so you do need to be cautious of not damaging that. And there are two internal components that have to be removed. This is the physical body of the camera. There's the speaker that's on the bottom with a few other circuit boards within here, and on the back of the camera it's weighted with a piece of metal, maybe even for a heat sink, because there is some thermal paste on it. And here's the reset button that everybody should be familiar with this. But in order to remove the battery, which is on this frame, and there's nothing else connected to that, in order to get the plug for the battery removed, the battery itself plugs into here. So this needs to be removed. And in order to get to these screws, you need to pry the battery off. So what I just used was one of my plastic spudger tools to slowly pry the battery off of this frame so that this frame could be pulled out. This frame is held in with 8 T6 or Torx screws. This one is held in with 4. So um, let's go back to how it would be originally installed. This is the front of the camera. This component here, that's just a little plastic trim piece, did not need to be removed, but I can easily attach that back on. But how this is held in, it's strictly just pressure fitted. There's a gasket within a groove within this all the way around. So as you use a spudger tool, and I used this little heavier duty metal one, but all you have to do is just put the tool in here, and you slowly just pry around in a perimeter around the perimeter of this. Don't remove the tool so that you're still within behind this gasket as you get in, and just through time it will naturally pry itself out. So that took me quite a while to get that out. It takes, once you start actually maneuvering to have this start lifting outward, it took probably a good minute for it to finally work its way around half the point where it was able to be popped out. And this component is held on with this ribbon cable that I mentioned on this chassis. So once this came out, then you're able to take this ribbon cable off. But this is what goes on the bottom of the unit. And this plastic frame was mounted, it would be like this. So this is how it would look, the two pieces joined together, and you would put your 8 screws holding this on once this is inserted. I'm going to look and see. Yes, okay. So it does appear as though you could probably, and I will take pictures of this because it's obviously not going to show on camera, but it looks like if you had a long enough of a T6 screwdriver, you'd be able to remove the 4 that would pull this whole unit out, and then from there you would need to take out the 8 screws to remove this frame, because the battery is actually on the inside of this frame. It's not visible when the two pieces are held together. So I'm just going to reinstall this in reverse, and here's the old battery with its the adhesive that's attached to it. So I have some strips left over from replacing a battery on some phones. So I'm going to take, if I can, here we go. I'm just going to take the adhesive from the battery that would have been held in, and it has the standard be able to pull that off. So I'm just going to trim this up and get it to fit properly within here. Don't need the excess on that. And obviously on this back side now, I can pry this off. So you're left with just this. So what I will do, and knowing how that was anchored, and trying to determine how does this go back in. So the battery cable itself needs to go down. It's going to be a kind of like putting a puzzle back together. So the cable itself is going to go down through that. So I will put the battery. What I'm going to do actually to make sure that I got the leverage, I'm going to push the cable in. There's a little channel here where this cable goes through. And then what I'm going to do is just rest the battery within this compartment where it goes, and I will drop that on top of there. So what you can tell here, there's a connection here where the power cable goes in. There's only one direction that this can go in. It's keyed. So I will try to determine, can I go with, okay, perfectly. So the way this goes in, the red wire is going to be towards the center. Then there's a yellow wire, a white wire, and a black wire goes in that same place. By my pulling against this, trying to remove it, I actually had removed that, so I didn't know exactly where that direction that this went in, but that is the correct way to do that. So now we can take this other side. It's keyed here to fit around this ribbon cable. So if we just push that here to make sure it fits in. Um, you got to make sure there's some metal trim pieces here on the sides that add a little bit of pressure. Oh, I guess these need to go inside. Okay, there we go. Oh, I guess they do go on the outside. So on this frame, there's two little metal tabs. These metal tab pieces actually have to go on the outer part of this plastic frame. I apologize if you don't have a clearer visual of this, but I had no clue what I was up against to do this. I normally have zero problems taking apart anything. I can pretty much figure out how things get put back together if they are designed properly. So I'm going to just check here. Oh, okay, so those metal pieces actually do go on the inside and hold that in. So here is the completed. The battery is now plugged in. It's sitting inside of the little cavity that it belongs in. I'll just press a little bit here, and the adhesive is already held with that battery. So I can now put these 8 screws back in. So I'm going to pause the video to do this. I now have the 2 parts that are put back together with the 8 screws. I've taken some pictures, so I'm going to actually put the pictures up right now so you can see that there's 4 on this side to hold down that metal clip that I was showing previously, and the same matching 4 on the other side. So you want to make sure this ribbon cable is out of the way. It's not being pinched in any manner. And on the back side, I just verified that this was pressed in properly, that I didn't interfere with it. There's also 2 other wires here for the Wi-Fi antenna. I did not interfere with those, but you want to make sure that those are pressed down properly before you reinsert this. What I did have to go find, I have an English hex wrench that will fit this. Even though this is a T6, I have a 0.05 English hex wrench that fits these threads in order to screw these down, because the shaft of this screwdriver is not long enough to get into where this needs to be re-anchored to the chassis. So all you have to do here is just drop this back in. The speaker and other components on the bottom, they have a clear channel here to go around. So I will just slowly, and there's little grooves around the side here on this the gray piece, and inside of the chassis there's actually little notches, and you may be able to see those on the photos that I attached. But I'm just going to put it in here and try to find the place, and yeah, it drops right in. So easy to do. So now all I have to do is drop these screws down into the 4 locations that need to be re-anchored. And I'm going to pause this and show that once this is completed. What I'm finding the easiest way to reinsert these is to put the screw onto the end of the hex wrench and just finding the channel that it needs to go into, and then you can slowly thread the screws back into the plastic channels that they belong in. They are not a fine thread, so they screw in pretty easily. I'll do this with the remaining one. And of course, it will drop. I advise to work on this on a open table where you will not have any issue if you do happen to drop something on a carpet, that you can find them again. So the trick is to get this all lined up properly. Okay, that's all solid. I will just double check that I have everything done here as it should be. Down tight. Tight. And I'm guessing you don't have to be overly aggressive to tighten these in. Just I'm doing it just by feel to know that when I'm getting enough added resistance that I'm in. So I'm satisfied with that. So the next part now is going to be reattaching the ribbon cable to this lens, and just trying to determine which direction that should go in. The O-ring just slipped off on me, so that's good. One thing I'm actually thinking of doing, I'm going to put a little bit of Vaseline on this before I put it back in, so that way it will not only help to slide it in easier, but it will also help with the sealing and potentially waterproofing this since it has been removed. But this is probably 4, maybe 5 years old that I've had this. I don't know if how long they've been around, but this is it wasn't working anyway, so I had nothing to lose other than the cost of the battery and my time to take this apart. I have found that you can sometimes get these for $120 when they're on sale, but this battery I believe was $30. So for the $60-70 savings, I'd rather try to attempt this and show everybody what is necessary. So let me pause again. I will get some Vaseline for this, and we will get the rest of this reassembled and make sure it powers on. All right, I was able to figure out how the ribbon cable goes back on. I took a photo that I will attach, but it actually attaches from the inside, and there's a little trap door that you flip down on top of that. If this happens to come off while you're removing it, odds are it will. So I will, in the picture, I will make arrows indicating where those where that trap door is at. I was able to get the Vaseline, and we will just put this gasket back on. So all that should need to be done now is just take this, kind of give it a visual of what would be centered, and just slowly press this back in. You'll hear it kind of snapping a little bit there as I'm doing this. There we go. And it is back together. So let's see. This battery may have no charge on it. Oh, I just saw a flash on the light, so it did wake up. Oh, so far so good. I'm going to hope that this adhesive that is here is going to be adequate to just place this cover back on it, since I really didn't do anything to it, and it's more or less a cosmetic ring. So I will just press this on, and I'm sure once the sun hits it, it will be good. It's not booting up, so it probably needs more power, but I'm going to go connect this back outside, and we should be good. I hope everybody liked this. This is not one of my typical videos of a product review. This is more or less something that has been broken for a few months for me, and I've been doing research to find out exactly a battery has to be in here to be replaceable. It's a matter of trying to find out how to get the battery and then deciding, taking it apart. So I was willing to be the guinea pig. I've only seen one other video on all of YouTube where somebody did attempt to try to remove it, and that gave me a little bit of a guide, kind of knowing what I was against, but they didn't go in depth other than moving the front on this. So hopefully this will help a lot of people out. If you own multiple ones of them, then you can get these replacement batteries. So I will again put the link in the video for this for you. But I thank you for watching today, and on behalf of all of us at Let's Talk Tech today, thank you for watching and have a fantastic day.